Hello, this is your host Matt with Mental Health Reddit here, coming at you with another video today. This post is from a Reddit user named Big Wiener Steve. What's the most soul-destroying job you've ever had? Have you guys ever had any jobs that you've considered soul-destroying? Please let me know in the comments section down below. And without wasting any more time, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into today's video. Hopefully you enjoy. Telemarketer. Selling security systems to suckers, usually the elderly. I made a lot of money and I felt really shitty about it. We sat at terminals about 24 inches wide and read from a script, 8 to 5, 5 days a week, about 500 to 700 calls a day. I know because they kept track of how many calls we made. If we were lagging or slowing down, one of the floor supervisors would come up with a vile level of fake intensity and scream, "Yeah, let's pump it up, folks, yeah!" And then some bullshit sports anthem from an old Jock Jam CD. Yeah, it lasted about 3 weeks. I worked at a call center for a big insurance company, and it was hell. At first, it seemed like a really cool job with a lot of perks. It paid well, there was a free gym, game rooms, free snacks, all that sort of stuff. The first couple months I worked there, I was in training, and so it wasn't even that bad then. But once I was out on the sales floor, it all went to shit. The whole vibe there was off. Every time I went to the bathroom, the stalls were filled with people crying. They had a quote-unquote nap room for sleeping during breaks. Always filled with crying people. Bottom of the stairwell, that was people crying too. Turnover was crazy. I got hired with about 20 other people. When I quit, I think about 4 or 5 other people from my new hire class were still working there about 6 months later. Biggest gripe I had was that we were not able to hang up on customers, no matter what. If you did, you would get written up. Creepy guy calls to ask what type of shoes I'm wearing while definitely masturbating. Well, not allowed to hang up. Group home care for adults with profound mental retardation. Seeing these guys just wander about in stupor most of their lives, not recognizing that the person they're talking to is their mother or Jesus Christ, casually shitting themselves only to have other residents try and eat it before the staff can get to them, it hurts your heart. I get the whole pro-life mindset, but when the quality of life is the mental functioning of a 3-year-old, you really start having to ask tough questions. Working at a Chuck E. Cheese call center. It started off as a cool job, but apparently the company got bought out and started taking a massive nosedive. Bosses prioritized sales over customer satisfaction in any situation. They allowed their customers very little leeway when it came to organizing their birthday and parties, and the deposit was non-refundable even if somebody died. Yeah, I had to deal with this. In another situation, the birthday kid was literally in the hospital and the mom was crying on the phone. And when I asked my boss what we could do, he said, "You know our policy." Employees got fired and got their bonuses taken away for the stupidest shit. One lady's infant daughter died of SIDS and she was out for 2 weeks. When she came back, she asked if she could still get her sales bonus for the month. She had the best sales all across the board. And my sales lead said, "Well, it's not fair that you were only here 2 weeks out of the month. You know the rules. Absences bar you from your bonus. Well, it's not fair that a 1-year-old died out of the blue." I have so many more stories. But even fast food was less soul-sucking than that fucking place. Every sales job I've had, the money isn't screwing with people to increase your sales numbers. The worst thing I did was selling an old lady 4 cell phones with plans for Christmas. These were brand new iPhone 8s for her grandchildren. Not only did she pay close to $3,000 on buying the phones on a 2-year tab, she signed up for $80 plans for all her grandchildren. I destroyed my quota for that month and I was given a plaque for the best salesman of the month. I quit the following week because I couldn't get over the fact that I fucked over that sweet old lady. When I told my manager and regional manager about what I did and why I didn't want to work there anymore, they laughed at me and called me soft. If I ever go back into sales, I'm working with integrity and honor. The cafeteria dishwashing room in college. Hot, steamy, gross, and the rich kids would purposely make messes on the trays as an added fuck you. Slaughterhouse. It's killing, but it's more than killing. It's the efficiency of the killing. It's viewing killing as something which is perfectible. It makes life, any kind of life, animal, human, good, bad, short or long, seem partial and empty. It never ended. It seemed impossible that there was so much appetite for it. Like we were just throwing a truly endless amount of life at a hole that could never be filled. The room literally fills with blood and shit. One animal being killed to feed one person doesn't bother me, but killing thousands of animals flawlessly, endlessly, rhythmically to feed this constant unseen appetite, that can never be sated. This was maddening, truly. New client intake at a high-dollar family law firm specializing in divorce and custody. Not only did I have to hear some bizarre and tragic stories, but part of my job is to verify income since our attorneys were $300 to $450 hourly. If they couldn't afford us, I had to turn them away. Luckily, some of the attorneys were really decent and gave me some awesome resources and referrals for the underprivileged. The owner of the firm didn't want me to waste my time doing that. He was the worst. I delivered pizza at a really high volume place, like largest in my part of the country big. And I was so deeply ingrained to just go and not think that I was told my grandmother, who I spent my entire life with, was in hospice care and wasn't looking so good, and I decided to go to work anyways. I got the call that she didn't have long, and I was kind of at a point where I said, what the fuck am I doing? This job means nothing in the grand scheme of things. I drove about 90 miles per hour all the way home, but unfortunately she passed away a few minutes before I made it back. Even though she was hardly even there to start with, doped up on meds to ease the pain. I still regret not having been there for her. I was one of her favorite people in the world, and I hardly thought twice about working until it was too late because I was so worn by the constant need to be moving and making money and not wasting time. Tip your goddamn delivery drivers. They've got lives too. Oh, and I got a call from my manager saying I left with about $20 in an order and I needed to drop that back off when I got the chance. Also, I worked retail for like a couple months and walked out on the spot, and all my managers got fired for misconduct. So, there's that. I was the guy selling direct TV subscriptions inside of Walmart. Every morning you'd be at the office getting all pumped up to go sell subs to people who couldn't afford it, had bad credit, and or didn't have a single nice thing to say to you. Made it through the first week. Made $300 just for showing up because all of my sales were canceled before scheduling could be finished. Oh god, that was awful. Chicken Pot Pie Factory. Worked there when I was in high school. It smelled like shit and it was cold at the same time. You do the same thing over and over every day until your brain gets numb. Got a job a year later as a software developer co-op. Never went back. I worked for exactly 1 day selling timeshares. We were literally trained to lie to our customers in order to build a rapport. Example, talk to customers about shared experiences, raising kids even though I don't have any kids. Anything to get them to that timeshare conference down in Florida. Up to and including flat lying about it being free. Seriously, we were trained to overcome their objections to the fees by telling them, oh, you won't be charged. I just have to get your credit card number in order to hold your place at the conference. But in reality, they would be charged several $100s. I did my week of training, got to the live floor, got ready to go live, and I couldn't do it. I froze for several minutes, then I stood up, took my headset off, looked at my trainer. He just looked at me, said, I figured you'd be the first to quit. You actually have morals. Then I just walked out. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Had to wear full suits while we had to wash the cars. Middle of summer, just sweating my balls off from sucking my ties up in the vacuum. Majority of customers were from auto shops, so they were already in a pissed off mood and hated being sold the extra insurance. You could only get promoted if you were good at selling too. Every day was extremely stressful trying to make sure we actually had cars to rent. Worked long ass hours. Airport location was even worse. Had to stay there until the last flight came in. There was a reason people get burned out there and it has a high turnover rate, and they go after college grads too. Pharmacy technician for Rite Aid. The people I worked with were amazing, but the job sucked. Dealing with entitled assholes, junkies, and senile elderly people isn't fun. The amount of multitasking you have to do is crazy. I worked there for 1 year, 9 months, and only made $9.50 an hour by the time I quit, which was a month and a half ago. Walmart. I worked in the fabric, crafts, stationary, seasonal section, but would always get pulled up to the register. The store I worked for loved to do this because cashiers get paid more per hour. So they would schedule as few as possible and then use us cheaper floor associates to do most of the work. I would mess up at the register due to not being properly trained as it wasn't my actual job, and then get yelled at by the cashier manager. Then, at the end of my shift, I would get chewed out by my department manager for not completing a 2-person job by myself while spending half of my shift at a register. I was yelled at for not taking breaks and I couldn't find someone to cover my fabric table, and then I was yelled at for taking breaks without someone there because customers complained. Yet no one else in the store besides our department knew how to cut label fabric properly. I was injured on the job and my ankle was jacked up, so I told the assistant store manager and they replied, "That sucks," and walked away. Corporate does not care about its employees at all. So neither does management, and the customers especially don't. Public accounting. Landed a highly competitive Big Four internship in New York City, resulting in a job offer as an associate once I graduated college. Starting salary for entry-level tax associates in Manhattan was about $59,000 a year. I worked approximately 80 hours a week, no overtime, about 35 out of the 52 weeks in a year. It was cutthroat. Most hours equals best workers, even if they were nowhere near as close to as inefficient. It was ruthless. People were two-faced, ratted each other out, no sense of friendship or bonds with coworkers. You'd rather step on them and beat them out for that next promotion. And a constantly high-stress, high-anxiety, and high-pressure environment. The work ranged from mindless data entry to correcting client disasters that frankly could have been prevented if someone would just clarify requests to the client instead of dealing with whatever crap information the client provided. The client is always right. On top of that, working 80 hours a week meant no time for yourself for working out or cooking or meal prep. So eating out every night equaled gaining weight. Broke, overweight, living in a shit apartment because that's all you can afford in your shit salary in NYC. Fuck that noise. I lasted a year. Transferred to a smaller local public accounting firm, then fucked out of there 2.5 years later. Fuck that noise double hard. Alright guys, and that takes us to the end of the video. What did you think about that one? Have you guys had any jobs that kind of relate to this? Any soul-destroying jobs? Any experiences you want to share? Go ahead and comment down below. As always, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you enjoyed it. There should be plenty more content to come in the months ahead. Hope you guys stay safe and healthy out there, and until next time, peace.